Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north. So we're back with the Dendrobium Cuthbertsonii. And, well, we best give it the right name, hadn't we? So this is Dendrobium Sulawesiense, that's it. Dendrobium Sulawesiense crossed with Cuthbertsonii and then crossed again with Sulawesiense. Okay, so just to quickly recap, we were talking about on the last video, what would now be part one, we were talking about how I lost my other Dendrobium Cuthbertsonii. I'm pretty sure it was a species which have a reputation of being particularly difficult. But from yesterday's video, and well, it might not be yesterday by the time you see this, but from the last video, having had a chat to various people in the comments, and it was Lynn Smith I was referring to in the last video. So if you're not subscribed to her channel, get yourself over to Lynn Smith. So that's Lynn and Smith, that's the name of the channel. And I think she's been YouTubing about as long as me, about a year, and perhaps a little bit less. And but she's obviously been growing orchids a lot longer, and she is the expert when it comes to Dendrobium Cuthbertsonii and all its hybrids. And she has a great collection. And just been chatting to her really just to try and establish what happened to my last one, and I can't really come up with, and between us we can't really come up with a reason for it. Sometimes they just die, she loses them as well. But I mean, I think they are supposed to be quite short-lived, but I don't think that was the reason for me. And in actual fact, from what she was saying, it might not have been dead. I could have revived it. Just because it had no roots, very often the canes will survive, and she showed a really good example of one. So regardless, you know, it could have been the amplitude, but the temperature, the amplitude of the temperature. It could have been that during the summer the temperature goes up to 36 degrees. It could have been the fact that I put it in a shadier spot. They do like a lot of light. But from what she was saying, she grows hers in intermediate to warm, and even in the warm as well. So they can grow cool, they can grow warm, they can grow intermediate. So really you would expect that you couldn't go wrong with them. So I don't know where this reputation comes from or why mine keeled over. Could have been overwatering as well. That's something else. She's had a lot of success with clay terracotta pots. So what I'm going to do with this one, which I do with a lot of orchids, I am going to take it out of this. Now, it's clearly growing really well, and you might think I'm a little bit crazy. There's buds on it as well. But really, what I want to do is I want to know what's going on in the pot. I don't want to just be judging it off the weight. I mean, it feels quite heavy at the moment, so I'm guessing that watering that I gave it yesterday would indicate that it's not just this road gravel that it's growing in, that there is a sphagnum plug in there. And at the moment, if I leave it like this, I will really have very little to go on as to whether it's ready for watering again. If I had a terracotta pot at that size, I would put it in there, because as I found with some Masdevallias, for some reason I'm wondering whether it draws the moisture out, not necessarily drying the media out, but preventing it from getting overly wet. I don't know. But I have got a very small, a little bit bigger actually, but a very small transparent pot with lots of holes in it. I'll have to put something in the bottom so that it's not all sphagnum. And my plan is I will have a look inside of this and see if there is an old sphagnum plug, which there usually is. I'm going to try and get rid of that and put some new stuff in there, along with a little bit of perlite, and see if then I'll be able to keep my eye on it and make sure it doesn't get overly wet, too wet. Obviously, it's got to try and stay reasonably moist. So I'm going to grow it in the cooler side, and we'll see what happens. And actually, I've been so inspired by Lynn's videos and her collection that I've actually ordered another one. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Cuthbertsonii crossed with gosh, I'll never learn to say this, will I? Sulawesiense, I think. Something about mountain butterfly kisses or something along those lines. But it's a beautiful one. And yeah, she also said that the hybrids were indeed a lot more hardy and very tough. I mean, you would expect my kind of environment is an environment that would be absolutely ideal for these. If you do actually live in a tropical country, then you might find that these just don't do well for you. I don't know. From what people have said in the comments, some people, like I think Miss Orchid Girl was mentioned, one of hers died. I think Roger might be having some trouble with his in his house, in his grow room. So maybe they just don't like that kind of thing. They do like to get to a cooler temperature at least at some point in the year. I'll give it a go anyway. So what I'll do here is I shall go and get all the stuff that I need, and you can have a look and come along with me while I repot this thing. Okay, so we've got some bark over here. We've got some sphagnum along with some perlite. We've got the pot. We've got the plant. So again, maybe I'm going to regret this. I don't know, but I'm going to try it anyway because I really want to know what's going on in this pot. So I'm going to put a little bit of bark in the bottom. And really what I want to do is make it so that the bark, because obviously this pot probably full from about there. So I'm going to put the bark up to the bottom of that pot, if you see what I mean, so that I'm not over potting it. That's the plan anyway. So there we go, some bark in there. So I'll just put that to one side and let's have a look what's in here. So there's this gravelly stuff. This looks just like what they used to put on the road before tarmac kind of came along. Yeah, just as Lynn suggested, and the weight of the pot also suggests. So what use that gravel is, no idea. I mean, obviously gravel isn't going to hold on to moisture much, but my goodness, that is a lot of sphagnum moss, and it is very saturated. So the roots look pretty good, as you'd expect, and it's really whether it's got that really old plug in the middle. That's what I'm looking for, and that's what I don't want, like the old sour plug. I'm guessing from when the plant was first germinated or taken from a cutting or whatever method was used. Well, I have to say there isn't a plug, not in terms of what I'm used to seeing from a lot of these places, not like a really thick old thing. But I mean, who knows? You don't know, do you, until you get in there. It's only by having a try that you know, and so far in my experience over the past 12 months, practically every orchid that I've got from this particular seller has had that sphagnum plug in the middle. So it certainly won't do any harm to give it some nice fresh moss, will it? And of course the benefit is, gosh, it's killing me about this leaning over. The benefit of this is that I will be able to see what's going on, and all these roots apart from that one are perfect. I'm not going to go any further. I think that's absolutely fine, and you can see from the plant it's doing particularly well. So that's the old stuff. I'm not really sure what purpose that gravel is. If anybody knows, I don't know, perhaps it's just to stop algae growing on the surface, like you would kind of top dress a pot for the garden. So this is the stuff that it's going in, so I'm going to kind of pack it around there like that. Not too difficult, and then in it goes. So I'm going to need a little bit more, so let's just grab. This is the longer fibred sphagnum. Just chopping it up a bit really so that it'll go in. Get a little bit of the perlite, and we'll just kind of fill it round the sides. So I'm not really intending on using this gravel, because knowing me, every time I knock it over, the gravel will go everywhere. Maybe it's just to weight it down. I would expect there's some use for it, and clearly they know, have more experience of growing these things than I do. but I do like to have a use for it, you know, to know what it's for. So otherwise I'm not going to just copy it blindly. How's that looking? Looking better. I think I can probably fit a bit more on top there, just to make sure that those top roots have a covering. So let's hope this doesn't set it back too much. So yeah, Lynn was also saying that some of these can bloom for a whole year, which is pretty good in my book. So I can see if this works for me, then this kind of ticks all the boxes, doesn't it? And I hate that phrase, I'm sorry. I've watched too many of these house programs. What is it? Place in the Sun, that kind of thing. Ticks all the boxes. So yeah, it ticks all the boxes. I'm still going to use it. Ticks all the boxes in terms of it's small, so you can fit them in. The blooms are quite striking. They bloom for a long time. You can get lots of them, lots of different hybrids, cultivars, all slightly different colours. So sounds like it would be the ideal orchid for my environment. Oh, and of course they don't mind being a bit cooler. So in that sense, they're like little jewels. Right, I think that's good enough, don't you? So I can see exactly how wet this is now, and I will be able to in the future, whereas before I couldn't. And it's still about the same size, so it's not like I have over potted it, I don't think, there, because we've got the bark at the bottom. So again, Lynn says about at this time of year in the UK, they're not going to want watering more than about once a week. So I might give that a little rest. I'm not going to water it again. It was completely saturated anyway. It was that heavy. This is a bit lighter now. This moss is wet anyway. It is damp. So I'm going to leave that for now. And when the next one comes, I'm going to have to buy some more of these because I've no more transparent pots of that size. So yeah, that's the next little part in my Dendrobium Cuthbertsonii journey. So please do put in the comments anything that you find interesting about them, anything that you want to say, you want to add, or anything I've missed out or got wrong. And for now, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.